The conventional script for building a successful life runs roughly as follows. Find your passion early, specialize in it deeply, commit to it fully, and resist the distractions that pull you in other directions. The script has the advantage of social consensus and the disadvantage of being, for a significant portion of the population, precisely wrong, not moderately wrong specifically, structurally wrong in ways that have caused real people to abandon real capacities, to interpret their breadth of interest as a liability, and to spend years trying to become the focused specialist the script requires, while the actual shape of their mind keeps insisting on something different. The people who interest themselves in everything, who move through domains with genuine curiosity rather than superficial sampling, who accumulate what looks to observers like an excess of unrelated interests and skills, have been consistently misread as undisciplined, unfocused, or unwilling to do the hard work of mastery. The research says something considerably more specific and considerably more interesting. David Epstein's work, published as Range, Why Generalists Triumph in a Complex World, constitutes the most thorough empirical case made in recent decades for the specific advantage of broad, multi-domain experience over narrow early specialization in domains that are not what researchers call kind learning environments. The distinction Epstein draws between kind and wicked learning environments is the conceptual pivot around which his entire argument turns. Kind learning environments are those in which the rules are clear, the feedback is immediate and accurate, and repeated experience reliably produces improved performance. Chess is the canonical example, and it is precisely in chess that the early specialization and 10,000 hours model of expertise development was first established. In kind learning environments, early focus and deep practice pay off in predictable and measurable ways, and the generalist strategy genuinely does underperform the specialist strategy. Wicked learning environments are those in which the rules are unclear or incomplete, feedback is delayed and often misleading, and the patterns that produce success in one context do not transfer reliably to others. Most of the domains where the most important and consequential work of human civilization occurs, medicine, scientific research, strategic leadership, business innovation, policy, education, are wicked learning environments. They reward the capacity to draw analogies across domains, to apply frameworks from one field to problems in another, to recognize pattern families rather than specific patterns, and to respond flexibly when the rules change. These are exactly the capacities that generalist development builds. Epstein documented this across multiple empirical literatures. Scientists who made breakthroughs were disproportionately members of multiple scientific societies. They had been exposed to a wider range of conceptual frameworks and were more likely to recognize when a problem in their own field had already been solved in a different one. Nobel laureates in science were, compared to other eminent scientists, significantly more likely to have serious avocational involvement in the arts, an interest in music, painting, writing, or performance that wasn't directly related to their scientific work, but that had apparently contributed to the cognitive flexibility that distinguished their research. Athletes who developed elite performance across multiple sports before specializing outperformed those who specialized early in their primary sport, because the diverse athletic experience built motor skills and adaptability that narrow specialization did not. Emily Wapnick identified and named a specific population whose multi-domain orientation has been systematically misunderstood by the cultural preference for specialization. She called them multipotentialites, people who have many different interests and creative pursuits, who never find a single calling that absorbs them completely, and who have been told repeatedly that their inability to commit to one thing is a problem to be solved rather than a design feature to be understood. Wapnick's contribution was to reframe the multipotentialite orientation as a coherent identity rather than an incomplete trajectory, as a genuine psychological type with specific strengths, rather than as a generalist who has not yet arrived at their eventual specialization. Her research identified 3 core strengths that multi-domain orientation reliably produces: idea synthesis, the capacity to combine concepts from multiple fields in ways that specialists embedded in a single domain cannot; rapid learning, the ability to pick up new skills and knowledge quickly; because previous breadth has established a rich foundation of transferable concepts and approaches, and adaptability, the capacity to change direction when circumstances require it without the existential disruption that specialists face. When their domain becomes obsolete or their role changes, these strengths are not compensations for the absence of deep expertise. They are distinct capabilities that deep expertise, pursued at the cost of breadth, typically does not develop. The person who knows 10 fields moderately well is not a worse version of the person who knows one field very deeply. They are a different kind of knower, one whose value shows up most in contexts that require the integration of multiple domains, the generation of novel connections, and the navigation of complex adaptive problems, rather than the solution of well-defined technical ones. Scott Barry Kaufman's research on creativity and intelligence adds the psychological architecture that explains why multi-domain curiosity and interest is not just a strategic advantage but a reflection of a specific cognitive profile. His work on openness to experience, the personality trait most consistently associated with intellectual curiosity, aesthetic sensitivity, and the active pursuit of diverse experiences, shows that highly open individuals are drawn to novelty and complexity, not as a deficit of focus but as an expression of a mind that is structured to find connections, to explore possibilities, and to remain genuinely interested in the full texture of human knowledge and experience. High openness, in Kaufman's framework, is associated with what he calls the default network, the brain system for imagination, spontaneous thought, and the integration of disparate information into coherent new wholes. This network activates in the absence of focused external tasks, during mind-wandering, during sleep, during the relaxed states that highly goal-oriented cultures treat as waste time, and it is responsible for the kind of insight and creative connection that deliberate focused work cannot produce. The highly curious, multi-domain individual is, at the neurological level, someone whose default network is unusually active and unusually well connected to the networks responsible for explicit knowledge and working memory, which means the integration of diverse experience into novel insight is something their brain is particularly designed to do. What does this mean practically for someone who interests themselves in everything and has been interpreting that breadth as a problem? The first implication is the most important, and it is diagnostic. The question to ask about your broad interests is not which one should I choose, but what kind of environment is most likely to put this profile to genuine use. Epstein's research is clear that the generalist advantage is domain-specific. It is most pronounced in wicked learning environments where integration and adaptability are required, and least pronounced in kind ones where deep technical specialization is the primary driver of performance. Identifying the kind of work that your particular breadth of experience and interest makes you unusually equipped for is a more useful project than trying to force the multi-domain mind into a single specialization. The second is about the relationship to depth within breadth. The multipotentialite orientation is not the same as shallow engagement across many domains. Wapnick and Epstein both document that the most effective generalists are people who have gone deep enough in several different areas to genuinely understand the concepts and methods rather than just the vocabulary, what Epstein calls the outside view, the capacity to understand the structure of a domain from having worked within it rather than merely observed it from a distance. The breadth is not a substitute for depth, it is an alternative organization of depth in multiple places rather than in one, which produces a different and in many contexts more valuable kind of knowledge. Epstein's research on analogical thinking, the capacity to recognize structural similarities between problems across different domains, showed that this capacity is not available to people who have only ever worked within a single domain. It requires exposure to multiple domains deep enough to internalize their underlying logic. The generalist, who has gone genuinely deep in 4 or 5 disparate fields, is not a person who has failed at deep expertise. They are a person whose expertise is organized around pattern recognition and transfer in ways that no specialist can replicate, because the specialist has only ever seen the pattern in one context. The problems that have proven most resistant to solution by deep specialists have very often turned out to be solvable by people with exactly this multi-domain profile, People who recognized that the problem in front of them was structurally identical to a solved problem in a field the specialists had never looked at. The third is about reframing past experience that the specialization script made look like failure. The years spent pursuing different paths, the experiments with different fields and careers and interests, the accumulation of what felt like an unfocused collection of partially developed skills. In the multipotentialite framework, this is not a record of failed attempts to find the one thing. It is the construction of exactly the diverse foundation that Epstein's research identifies as the precondition for the kind of integration and insight that narrow specialists cannot produce. The career that looks like wandering is, from the right angle, the preparation for work that couldn't have been done without all of it. The interest in everything is not the symptom of a mind that can't commit. It is the expression of a mind that is built for a specific and genuinely valuable kind of work that the cultures that most celebrate it, from Renaissance Florence to contemporary Silicon Valley, have consistently recognized as producing something that no amount of narrow optimization can replicate. The next thread examines the curious mind specifically, what neuroscience and psychology have revealed about curiosity as a drive, how it functions differently in different people, and what happens to performance and learning when it is either cultivated or suppressed. That thread goes deeper into the territory this one has begun to map. Before continuing, if you have spent significant time and energy trying to force your range of interests into a narrower shape, trying to become the focused specialist that the conventional script requires, it may be worth asking honestly what the range has actually produced over the same period, not what it has cost. What it has produced, the connections made, the problems solved, the insights generated, the adaptations navigated. The multi-domain mind tends to generate evidence of its value in exactly the places where the narrow specialization script doesn't think to look.